historic cathedral today, those who are in nursing homes, hospitals, prisons, and even in your own living room, those of you who are at home who join us to pray, we're indeed together as we enter this Holy Week. This historic cathedral, huh? This is the oldest active cathedral in the United States of America. And this, the week of all weeks, right? Holy Week. It sits empty. It sits empty at the beginning of this week of all weeks. And why is that? Well, we know. It's the way in which this world has come to grips with and come to take upon itself this particular cross, this particular crisis, this particular burden. We're in a situation whereby not only do we find ourselves fearful and disenfranchised maybe from others, but at the beginning of this week of weeks, friends, we have an empty cathedral. What in the world does our Lord Jesus have to say about that? We prayed that psalm together, did we not? As was beautifully proclaimed by the cantor, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why? Why is the oldest active cathedral in this country empty today? Why have you forsaken me? Why am I at home? Why am I alone? Why do I feel distant? Even in maybe in a house full of people at times, I can feel alone. I can feel distant. Lord, what is it that I'm hungry for? What is it that just aches within me? Friends, I'd suggest to you this, that Jesus Christ, right? God who became man, if he was able to pray these words during his passion, my God, why have you forsaken me? He gave them as an example to us to recognize something. In our emptiness, in our brokenness, in the ways in which we're hungering, we're thirsting, and just like this cathedral, we are empty. We're supposed to cry out to God. We're supposed to cry out, my God, why have you forsaken me? We're supposed to reach out to him. There are other options, are there not? It's very easy. We can turn in within ourselves. We've already turned in within our own homes, right? As we should. It's the government order to social distance, to stay at home. But there's a much more dangerous thing that lies within that. We can turn within ourselves, and our hearts can become hard. As we enter this week, distant as we are, friends, our hearts are supposed to be all the more yearning and going out and reaching out, and yes, screaming from your kitchen, from your living room, from wherever you are, my God, reaching out. Because that is what the Christian does. We're not alone in this. We have a God whom we can stretch out our arm to. This crisis, this dysfunction that we're facing, is this something that Jesus would somehow be unfamiliar with? No. That incredibly long gospel that you just heard, no? What's in that gospel? What is the story? It captures all of human dysfunction. Is there betrayal? Yes. Is there sloth? People falling asleep when they're told to just stay awake for an hour with the Lord? Yes, that's there too. Is there all kinds of stupidity? Yes. Is there violence? Yes. Friends, everything in the human condition, every bit of brokenness is in that story. It's all there. And where's Jesus in it? Is he kind of like off on the side because he's like, using some spiritual Purell to try and stay away from these sinners? No, he's right there in the heart of it. In fact, he's the subject and he's the Redeemer. What happened when he was crucified? There's thieves either side of him, criminals. He doesn't get crucified in some kind of meaningless isolation, but between human brokenness and dysfunction. That's where he is, friends. I don't know where you are. Maybe you're in your bed. Maybe you're in a nursing home. Maybe you're in hospital. Maybe you're in your living room, kitchen. I don't know. Wherever you are, though, wherever you are, it's not somewhere where Christ is afraid to go. Maybe you feel distant from Mass. You're going to make a spiritual communion today. You're not going to receive the body and blood of our Lord. But, as we know from this gospel, Jesus will go anywhere. In the midst of brokenness, dysfunction, and whatever mess you've got, whatever that looks like, I promise you this, friends, he's about to show up. The challenge is for us to recognize him, because he will let everything go to come and meet you where you are. Did you not hear the second reading as it was proclaimed? It's that famous reading. Though he was in the form of God, Jesus did not deem equality with God something to be grasped at. Rather, he emptied himself, taking the form of a slave. He emptied himself. You feel empty right now? He had equality with God, and he emptied himself, taking the form of a slave. I don't know where you are, and I don't know from where you're watching this Mass today, and the ways in which you feel empty. But the God who you believe in, the God who believes in you, is willing to be empty with you and come to meet you. Recognize that there is nothing so dysfunctional, distant, far off, broken, that he's not willing to be right there with you. It said he submitted himself in that same reading, no? To death on a cross. Even, it said, even death on a cross. Because that was the most horrific idea of a way a person could die. That was the symbol, the cross from the Roman Empire. If you mess with us, this is what happens to you. Do you not realize that's why they always crucified people? Where? Outside of cities. So any travelers, any visitors to the city coming in would see that crucifixion and know we better not mess with them. That symbol of fear, Jesus transformed into a symbol of hope. Whatever your fear is, maybe even this crisis, there's nothing that Jesus Christ himself cannot transform. There's nothing that he cannot redeem, including you, including me. So friends, you might be empty, but though he was in the form of God, Jesus did not deem equality with God something to be grasped at. Rather, he emptied himself. The Lord himself comes to meet you in this brokenness. He is empty with you. You are never alone. Trust in the God who walks into all dysfunction, all brokenness, and stays there with you.